The most important cycling race in the world is the Tour de France. Every year, 180 of the world's best cyclists compete in a 3-week multi-stage race across France. From the fastest sprinters to the best climbers. The pinnacle of road cycling is to be a Tour de France winner at the last stage, when those who have survived the 3,600 kilometers or 2,200 miles across the most beautiful but also challenging French territoire arrive to Paris. However, the first stages of the Tour are sometimes not held in France. The first stage is called Le Grand Départ, and this year it is happening in Bilbao, in northern Spain. I have been living there for some time now, and I could not escape this opportunity to photograph the city on a once-in-a-lifetime occasion. If you don't know me, let me be clear. I am not a sports photographer. I usually focus on travel, street and landscape photography, and I love it. However, the opportunity to capture the Tour de France is an exciting challenge that I couldn't pass up. Also, hopefully, this video will prove that anyone with just a camera can take great photos with the right planning. Speaking about planning, I've only witnessed a Tour de France stage once before, and my memories are a blur of the fast-moving cyclists and the colorful pre-race caravan. Considering this, my aim is to capture various moments from the first stage instead of focusing on a single point on the route. Moreover, I will also attend the team's presentation, a great chance to get a more relaxed view of the cyclists. To prepare for such an occasion, it required some planning. Let's take a look at the map of the stage. The starting and ending point is Bilbao, which will be my main focus. The first spot I would like to get is at the team's presentation. A few days before the race, all teams will be presented in one of the most characteristic spots in Bilbao, the Guggenheim Museum. The crowds will dictate if I can get some nice photos, but it should be possible. Thinking about race day, the first place I would like to be is at this corner. Not only it is a great opportunity to see them from two angles, but it is also strategic for my next spot. When I was there, I could try a couple of compositions. Given that none of the policemen around knew how the area would be friends, I will need to wake up early and secure my spot. As the riders pass by, I plan to rush across the bridge, La Salve, to get an aerial view of the riders leaving the city. These two spots are before the real start of the race, so I will mainly get photos of the peloton. This is where it could all go wrong. If the bridge is blocked or if I can get on the stairs that I have scouted, I might have to skip this spot. Now here comes the exciting part. Bilbao boasts one of the world's best public transportation systems. My strategy is to hop on the metro and head to a nearby city called Getxo before the cyclists arrive there. According to the schedule, they are expected to reach the area around 13:30 hours, and I'm hopeful that I can make it in time as I should be done around 12:45 in the city. The only uncertainty is how many other people will have the same idea and how crowded the metro and the location will be, as people usually wait for hours for the Tour de France. As you can see, it took me around 31 minutes to get there on a good day, so it will be, at least, tight. Lastly, the final photo of the day, the Bilbao Udala, or the town hall, located at the last kilometer of the stage. Since it's not a typical sprint stage, but rather a hilly stage, I anticipate having multiple opportunities to capture that perfect shot of a cyclist with the town hall behind them. Again, none of the policemen knew what would be the chances to get a nice spot, as they were not the people fencing and preparing the area. Famous for its amazing landscapes, nature, gastronomy and culture, Bilbao boasts a passionate cycling tradition, making it the perfect choice for this year's Tour de France kickoff. This cycling tradition was easy to see on the previous days. The city was prepared for it, and at the team's presentations, more than 2 hours before it started, the capacity was already at its maximum. I was very lucky to secure a spot just next to the photojournalists of the event. One of the challenges I face when I am in such a prime location is that I don't explore other opportunities. Here I force myself to change lenses, composition, and at the end of the event, location as well. This way I could get more photos and more diverse ones. The rain was not expected, but it gave a moody style to some of the photos. The only downside was that at some point it was pouring rain, and not all of my gear is weather sealed. I am very satisfied with the results of the team's presentation. It was a perfect opportunity to take photos of the riders in a more relaxed environment, something that is unlikely to happen during the actual race. The day of the race was a typical Bilbao day, grey with menacing clouds and weirdly silent. I did the last bit of scouting, and the last location of the day seemed feasible. I also asked 3 groups of policemen if the bridge stairs where I wanted to rush after the first location would be open, and all of them said yes to it. The waiting game started. Days of planning for a 20-second moment, and hopefully 1 or 2 great photos. Before the main event, I could get some nice photos, like this one of the empty boulevard, or the one of the merchandise vans, some of the cars that accompanied the tour, and of the French police that escorted the riders. Things did not start well. In the rush of the moment, I wrongly set my GoPro in time-lapse mode. The peloton passed by my location, and I was fairly confident I could get the results I wanted. But even waiting for the last cars, it was time for me to move. It was then when I realized that the policeman had blocked the access to the bridge. All my planning was destroyed. This is where I am glad that it was not my first time in the city. I knew that around 600 meters from there was a bridge, the Subisuri, where I could potentially get a nice view of the race. I sprinted, and I made it there seconds before the cyclists. The first 2 steps of my plan were completed, 2 out of 2 locations. Did I get the photos I was after? Yes. From the first location I could get the one of the peloton with the characteristic flower dog named Puppy in front of the Wohnheim Museum. And the main photo I was after, the boulevard with all the riders in it, both in its vertical and horizontal version. At the second location I had no expectations, as it was not planned for me to be there. However, there I took one of my favorite photos of the day, the one of the characteristic yellow motorbike opening the tour and wishing everyone a great Tour de France. Moreover, there are a couple of interesting photos from the peloton with the cheering crowd. Things can go wrong, but adapting to them is essential in such events. I did not have time to lose, as now I had to race the cyclist to my 3rd location, by the Nervion estuary. The sun was shining, and I could get there in time, and this time I have decent footage. While waiting, I could take this photo of a gendarme, the French police, that was waiting for the riders as well. The riders came in 2 main groups, the breakaway and the peloton. From the breakaway, I only have one acceptable photo, this one. From the peloton instead, I could get the 2 photos I was after, the one of the riders coming towards my location, and the one of the main group with the Portugalete church in the background. I like the bokeh effect and how the final image looks like, although if I had to take the photo again, I would probably choose to have a bit more of depth of field. The hard part was done. I had seen the race at 3 different spots, and now I only had to go close to the finish line and wait. 3 hours before the expected arrival time, the place was packed, but I was there even with more time in advance, and I secured my spot. I could try to put words at how the crowds reacted when the 2 cyclists from the breakaway arrived. 2 brothers, Simon and Adam Yates, fighting for getting the win and the yellow jersey on the first stage. Not only them, but all the group of riders that came after, exhausted after over 180 kilometers of the hard but insanely beautiful Basque Country roads. The base country flag, the people. After using the wide-angle lens, I wanted to try to get some close-ups of the riders, as well as of the last climb of the day at distance, with the crowds at both sides of the road. The 55 to 100mm gave me the best results. I am very happy with some of the photos I took, and even some panics gave great results, one of them being my favorite photo of the day. After that, silence. The race was over, and the city went back to its usual. The terraces were full of people, and children played in the parks like nothing happened. Only the fences and the people, still wearing the yellow Tour de France merchandise, were testimonies that for 182 kilometers, on July 1st, 2023, Bilbao had been the world's most important city for anyone that loved cycling, or in my case, cycling and photography.